It's time, y'all, for the best fishing and weather report that you know about. We're going to talk a little bit about inshore, nearshore, and offshore fishing with some of our captains, crew, and friends from the #1 fishing charter in the country, Hubbard's Marina. And we want to tell you a little bit about what's going on now, what's coming up, and what we're looking forward to. But first, we always kick it off right by talking about the weather. And the weather is absolutely spectacular. As you can see behind me, we've got nice, clear blue skies, sunny days, and great opportunities to catch tons of fish. So hopefully you're ready to join us out there on the water, either on our boats, your own boat, or a buddy's boat, because right now is a great time to go fishing. We're on the back side of that full moon, working our way up to a last quarter moon. The last quarter moon is this upcoming week, Tuesday. So we've got some pretty big full moon tides still flushing right now. As the weekend progresses, that tide's gonna slow down. Second half of the weekend into the work week, especially the first half of the upcoming work week, tides are gonna start moving a little slower, less water volume. Bite might slow down a little bit with less flushing water inshore, but offshore the currents should relent a little bit for us as well. So that quarter moon phase generally means less flushing water, less flushing bait, generally a little bit hotter conditions. So you got to work a little bit harder to find areas where those fish are going to feed. So as the tide slows down second half of the weekend into the work week, you're going to have to find areas like choke points, the entrance to canals, passes, little cuts, potholes, areas that are going to hold a little bit cooler water and give those fish some reprieve from the heat, because without big tidal changes and tidal surges, those fish are going to be hot, just like me and you, and they're going to be looking for shade from a bridge, shade from a dock, shade from a mangrove tree, whatever they can find, or deeper areas like passes or out on the beach where there's a lot of wave action, stirring things around, cooling off the water a bit. So definitely want to hit it early morning if you're fishing inshore. Get out there before the sun rises, while the sun is rising. Once it's up, the water starts warming up fish fast, and those fish slow down. So you definitely want to try to aim to be fishing the flats in those shallow areas first light, or a little bit after the sun goes down. And then apart from that, once the sun gets up there, you're going to be fishing edges, cutoffs, little points, pockets, and passes. And then during the heat of the day, during midday, mid-morning, midday, mid-afternoon, you're going to be hitting areas like deep patches around Bay Area bridges, around local fishing piers, fishing deeper water where those fish are going to be more actively feeding. Offshore right now, we're seeing some good action. Really excited to have this new format to our fishing reports. You're going to hear from Brian Harris, from Captain Will McClure, Captain James Dutton, Captain Frank, and others to tell you a little bit about what's going on inshore, nearshore, and offshore. Biggest thing to take away right now is it's hot. Make sure you stay hydrated, get hydrated before you get on the boat. While you're on the boat, make sure you're conscious of that, and make sure you're staying healthy and happy while you're out enjoying some fishing fun. Also keep in mind, it's a light load time of year right now. We're on the backside of a lot of demand for red snapper, even though we got plenty of time left to catch plenty of red snapper. Season doesn't end until end of day, August 24th, so there's still time to go get your red snapper. Plus amberjack and triggerfish opened. So lots of opportunities, great fishing, and super light loads. 12-hour extreme, 39-hour, all lighter loads, even 10-hour all day, seeing less people. So get out there on the water, take advantage, and hopefully we'll see you out there. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Enjoy the rest of the report. We'll see you on the water soon.
What's going on, guys? It's Captain James Dutton here at Hubbard's Marina. I'm one of the captains that run the half days, 10 hours, 39 hours, private charter boats. We're going to talk a little bit about what we've been getting out here lately, what you can expect. The half days have been really heating up, been getting some hogfish. We're going to start getting into that time of year as we start getting a little bit cooler out. We're going to be using little circle hooks. I prefer a little knocker rig, or we have some hogfish rigs inside there, little ball jigs. They work really well. You're going to want to use shrimp. You can either use a whole shrimp or half a shrimp. You want to cut that in half, curl it up right around the hook, send it all the way to the bottom. Any little tap, anything at all, just start reeling to hang on. You do have to weed through the other fish, the gray snapper, porgies, black sea bass, but the hogfish are starting to show up, starting to see more of them. 10 hour, been getting some nice red grouper. Unfortunately, they're out of season now, but we've been getting some nice yellowtail, some lane snapper, different stuff in the mix. 39 hours have been really great. Still getting the red snapper, having really worked for them. It has been a long season, but we're out here still grinding it out, getting some really nice size ones. The mango bite has really just been off the chain at night. Full moon, just been absolutely fire. If you want to come out and catch mangoes, now's the time to do it. They're out there spawning. Amberjack just came into play. Also, triggerfish just came into play as well. So we're really excited to get out there and start getting on those. We don't have to throw them back anymore. We've been seeing some really, really nice triggerfish. The amberjack, you're going to want a really nice bait. We've been saving them even for our 39 hours on the half day, the tom tates and pigfish and whatnot, put them in the wells. But if you have a really nice bait, I prefer to have like a 6-8 ounce lead, then a really, really long leader, and just anal hook that bait and just slowly send it down. Just keep your thumb on that spool. When that thing starts ripping out, just flip it forward, hang on. The mangoes, the bigger ones have been really coming up on the little pinfish, little pigfish if you got them. But all in all, it's been really great. Now's the time if you want to come out. It's a really light load this time of year. These trips, we only have about 18 to 25 people, so you have plenty of room where you can put your arms out on both sides and say there's not as many tangles and whatnot. You get out here and get a little bit more one-on-one experience with myself and the guys. So come out and see us here at Hubbard's Marina, and we look forward to having you.
Hey guys, this is Captain Will here with your deep water fishing report. We're just getting back in from a 39 hour right now, and we fished pretty much deep this whole trip, deeper than we have been for our snappers, but they were picky but bigger at night, and we had amberjacks mixed in that were eating your fish while you were reeling them in. And a hook of several of those landed 5 or so in the 40 to 50 pound range, and picked at the snappers through the night. And the main bait throughout the night was the thread fins, and even we have whole small squid now that's working well for the snappers too. But main bait is the thread fins and the jacks. We did have a couple of guys that brought bigger pinfish, and they caught jacks on the bigger pinfish. I hooked a jack just reeling in a small fish. It ate my small fish, reeling it in, and ended up landing an amberjack like that. So then we bumped it offshore into the 170, 80 foot range and got a few fish in there, a few red snapper, a few triggers, and but it was picky, so we kept going deeper and deeper, got out to even about 250 and got out of the red snapper in that depth. We caught a bunch of big almacos and some more jacks out there, but out of the red snappers in 250, we ran back in shallower and north and ended up doing really well at the end of the night on some new area, found a new area to fish, caught some big red grouper we had to throw back. Unfortunately, that would have been my best red grouper trip to date, and I had to throw them all back this time, but there were big scamps mixed in there as well, probably 20 to 30 scamps this trip, mainly on threadfin, I would say, but they like a small pinfish. The bigger ones will eat a big bait. We've had one that was in the 8 to 10 pound range, and they'll eat a decent sized pinfish or even large pinfish. But the scamp is one of those where they bite random baits a lot of time. Triggerfish, we probably had the same number of triggerfish, 20 to 30 triggerfish this trip, and they'll bite random as well. But one thing I have noticed is, and I've said it before, is the triggerfish like a chicken rig with something on it, beads, glow bead. They like looking at that. They're a curious fish. So if you're wanting to target a triggerfish for the next month or however long they're open, then a chicken rig with beads on it, 2 hooks, and as far as the bait goes, squid or cutfish, blue runner, bonita, something like that. So then got a few of those, moved up to the north and got into the big scamps and red snappers. The red snappers, they like a big pinfish. They like a whole squid. I like doing the whole squid and stuffing a threadfin inside of it and really blowing it up. They like that too. But one of our best go-to red snapper baits, believe it or not, is just a threadfin or a sardine. Whole threadfin or whole sardine. Just fish it heavy rather than a mangrove rig. And then end of the night, we fished a little late this trip. We fished till about 10 and got into a nice sundown bite with red snappers, vermilions, and big mangroves mixed in. Not a lot of them, but they were 5+ pounders mixed in. And picked at those until about 10 o'clock last night and slid on back in. The current, the word on the current is it's still there, but it's not all day like it was a month ago. The current will come and go right now. Just maybe 2 to 4 hours of current, and the people on the boat were like, man, the current's bad, but they haven't seen it when it really was bad. So it was mediocre current this trip. We worked around it and ended up putting a nice catch together. Big fish this trip.
Hey guys, I'm Captain Frank with Hubbard's Marina. Just wanted to go over a little bit about what we've been catching out there on the half days and our 10-hour trips. Our half days have been really good. We've been catching a lot of the gray snappers and also some yellowtails. It's been a lot of fun, lots of action, almost non-stop on the half days. The 10 hours, a little bit pickier, but we've been running out a little deeper. We're trying to get a few of the fish right on the edge that we don't normally see on a 10-hour, including sometimes seeing a keeper amberjack from time to time. We're not necessarily targeting those all day, but we have been seeing them a little bit. Also some red snappers right on the cusp of 100 foot. We're seeing a couple of those as well. It's been a fun time. We saw a nice, we got a huge cobia on the last trip as well. And we saw a whale shark, there's turtles, but lots of lanes and vermilions. But we're using the squid for the lanes and vermilions. It's working great. We're also getting some mangrove snappers. We are catching a few of the small little tomtates, and we're sending those down on some of the larger ledges, and occasionally hooking onto an amberjack. So fishing's been good. You guys got to come out and see us. We're having a really good time out there. Hope to see you soon.
All right, hey, this is Brian. I just wanted to give you guys a little inshore report. It's pretty cool. The pompano are starting to run back into the bay. A lot of times after the spring or the fall, people are like, where did the pompano go? They're not on the beach anymore. They're going to run all the way back up into the bay. So it's a good time to start at the bridges leading to the bay, work the edge of channels, and look for those pompano. I like to use a dock scoopy jig with a little pink teaser. That's kind of my go-to, is the pink teaser. I don't know what it is, drives me crazy. So pompano fishing's picking up. Another thing is, when you're bouncing for pompano, something I like to do is have a sampley or fiddler crab on a couple rods out the back as feeler rods. And a lot of times those rods will be going off while I'm bouncing my jig. Kind of fish two methods at once. It works pretty well. And also for the inshore stuff, I've been doing pretty good on the trout. They're in the deeper water right now. You're going to want to fish passes. And you're also going to want to fish drop-offs. Anywhere there's a lot of moving water with a grass flat nearby seems to be working really well. The snook, all over the place. They're all over the passes, all over the flats. It's hard to go anywhere and not see a snook around Pinellas County right now. It's snook everywhere. They'll probably disappear September 1st when they open up. That's usually how it goes. Mangrove snapper on every bridge, every pass. Some pretty nice ones. I went out last night and pulled them up to 16 inches. We're getting some really nice, like medium fun-sized tarpon in the mix too. That's always fun when you're fishing a 3,000 with 20-pound fluorocarbon hooking tarpon. My helper Zach was actually able to land one on the light setup last night. That was pretty cool. And sheepshead are all over the flats right now. It's kind of an underlooked fishery. I like to wade those flats and follow the mullet schools and fish those with fiddler crabs, free line. It's a really fun fishery that a lot of people overlook. And other than that, the tarpon are still around. I think deadbait's the way to go for those right now. With the snook, the live pinfish have been working really well. Live grunts, anything live has been early morning. Anything live or on the beginning of that outgoing tide seems to be when they start to turn on right now. So.